What's good, everybody? Welcome to another latest episode of my R&B review. The album I am about to review today is the infamous, legendary Prince, The Black Album, released in 1994 on Warner Brothers. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. How can you, how can you review this album and not review Love Sexy? Didn't that album come out right after Sign of the Times? Well, yes and no. So, yes, the album was physically released after Sign of the Times in 1988, but that was not originally, believe it or not, that was a rushed album. More on that later on in this review. This was the original, this was originally supposed to come out the same year as Sign of the Times and stuff like that. But this is going to be a crazy story, so all my Prince heads should know about this story. But at the same time, if you just get into Prince, and you hear so much about the Black Album, let me just break it down for you. All right, let's take a. Oh wait, first of all, I forgot. As usual, Prince produced the whole album. Um, Personnel include Sheila E. on backing vocals and drums, Eric Leeds on saxophone, Atlanta Bliss on trumpet, Cat Glover, who's like the kind of like the hype girl of the group. Um, yeah, she started working with Prince around this time. Most notably, like if you watch this, if you watch like the Signs of Times, um, the Signs of the Times video, like the concept film, she was like mostly she was featured prominently. She was featured prominently there and stuff like that. So yeah, okay, Bonnie Bonnie Boyer backing vocals and Susanna Melvoin on backing vocals. Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, let's take it back to 1987. Prince had just released Sign of the Times, which I have said plenty of times that's my favorite album from him. And then he did a whole Sign of the Times tour. He was basically it kind of like pushed it back because it was a very dope album. A lot of people were digging it, but commercially, he was kind of going through like a downhill slide, if you want to say. And how can I put this? How can I put this? See, like the China of the Times tour, it was mostly a popular tour in Europe. And because around the time 1987, hip hop was growing heavily, especially gangster rap at the time, though. I mean, gangster rap at the time was growing heavily and stuff like that. So a lot of people were kind of looking at Prince as kind of like washed up or stuff like that. And there's also talks that people had thought he was getting too pop orientated. Like I think you can go back to maybe while some people might say around the world in a day in parade, there's some fans who actually think that Purple Rain might be a bit too pop orientated. But yeah, so in order to get his black audience back, he decided to release this album called the Black Album, or originally it was supposed to be called the Funk Bible. Now, this was a very risky move in his part because from what I looked up, he basically recorded this album, like he basically recorded this album and stuff like that, and he, from what I read, he slid it under Warner Brothers' door. He sent it under like the executive of Warner Brothers and said like, "This is Prince's new album, the Black Album, and stuff like that." And so it had got a whole lot of hype at that time. Um, it was supposed to be like his way of getting the African American audience back, and stuff like that. But here's the downside. Legend has it. This is the weird. I don't think it's true. I really don't think it's really that true. But Prince had like an epiphany and stuff like that after some ecstasy or something. Oh, never mind. people say that he was on some ecstasy and he had an epiphany saying that don't release the Black Album. It's a very cursed album. It's evil and things of that nature. And this is like according to his who's it who made it? It hold on. Who said that? Yeah, they it was one I think one of his man I think his manager at the time. See, they said that the album was a bit too dark. Don't release it. So 1 week before the album was originally supposed to be released, he withdrew it from the public. But there was still a certain amount of copies that were released as like bootleg and stuff like that. And yeah, and so it was widely bootlegged in the upcoming years. Like it's up there with like the Beach Boys Smile album as as like among the most bootlegged works of all time. And so that's when he had done Love Sexy, which is an album. I have a lot to say about that album, which I'll most likely save my review on that until the time being. And so yeah, so the Black Album was forever unreleased. Although he did perform a couple of songs on the Love Sexy tour, and of course the song When Two Are in Love, he saved that and put it on Love Sexy. More on that later on. So fast forward to 1994, it was finally released due to like Prince's battle with Warner Brothers. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned this a couple of times, but I will get more into depth with it. And later, if I do reviews from later Prince albums, most likely the B sides and come, I will definitely touch on that. So yeah, it's a crazy story. And another thing too, um, another thing too about this album that it is just a straight up funk record. There's no pop rock songs and things of that nature. And also, if you watch the Alphabet Street video carefully, like off the Love Sexy album, which is one of my favorite Prince songs, by the way, you'll see like in this video, it's like for a split second when he says, "She want me from my head to my feet." If you pause that video, there's a message that says, "Please don't buy the Black Album. I'm sorry." It's like there for like a split second. So yeah. Okay, so I also like when it came to like the Love Sexy tour, which I'll get more into that next in the Love Sexy review. He did perform songs like Bob George and Super Funky Califragisexy. So yeah. So that's the crazy story about the Black Album. Other than that, out of all the Prince albums I've reviewed, this is gonna be the most fun album I'm about to review because there's like a lot of dope trivia I found out, a lot of things about the album that makes it so legendary, if you say. Now, track number one. Oh, what the CD looks like. I got this off Amazon. He didn't have the full case for it, but still, I'm so glad I got this album. I'm glad it wasn't a fake copy. I'm so glad. Okay, track number one, La Grind. Um, basically sets the whole tone of the album. Very funky song. Um, like as soon as you hear that bass, you know what you about to get into. Track number two, Cindy C. Interesting song, by the way. When I was researching this album, Cindy C came up. First of all, let me just say this is one of my favorite songs of this album. It has like a very soulful but funky at the same time. And if in case you guys wonder who Cindy C is, people say it's about Cindy Crawford. Because when I read up about his album, Cindy Crawford was at this club with Prince one night, and Prince wanted to hang out with Cindy Crawford. Basically, Cindy was kind of like, "Nah, I don't really want to." So Prince, he didn't really take it that well, and he basically recorded the song and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy because Crawford actually, they said Crawford had a bodyguard decline Prince's invitation to hang out and stuff. So yeah, I thought that was a very crazy story. There's some dope lyrics that I like from this song. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up and open it. Some very cool. I like. Okay, she said, "Sugar fine heifer, super fine heifer, super fine. I saw you in the Vogue. I knew you would be trouble. But why go? I'll give you 7 sips of that elberry wine. Maybe we'll unlock the secrets of your mind." I mean, he was so dope with his wordplay. Nobody gave him any credit for that. Like he was so dope with his wordplay and stuff like that. So yeah, I love the horns in that song too. Very dope horns. And Sheila E. She did a thing to the drums and stuff like that. And Cat as a hype woman, you know. And yeah, very dope song and stuff like that. And at the end, like he was screaming to Sydney C at the end, like you have to listen to it for yourself. Track number 3, Dead on It. Now this is a very probably one of my favorite Prince songs. Very funny song. It has like an old school beat to it, and basically it's kind of like him going after rappers at the time, saying that they're very tone deaf and unable to sing. Like that beat, I love that beat. It has like that b boy hip hop old school beat, which I like though. You know what I'm saying? Track number 4, When Two Are in Love. Hmm. I gotta be honest with you. I'm so glad he put that on Love Sexy because don't get me wrong, that is a dope ballad by Prince, but it fits on that album than this album because this album is a very funky, funky album. Like, but when Two on Love, it's kind of like do that whole album. I mean, don't get me wrong, you gotta have that ballad, but at least make it like a very funky ballad, at least a funky love song or some shit like that. You know, kind of like how Parliament did that song Wizards of Finance off damn what's that album called? It had I think it had Flashlight in it. One of my favorite Parliament. It has like one of them long ass titles. I'm sorry. It had one of them long ass titles by Parliament, but Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome. Yeah, and like if you hear that song Wizard of Finance, it's still funky, but it's like a love song or a ballad. Yeah, if you can say that. So something like that. Well, other than that, When Two One Love, dope song. But fits more in the fits more with Love Sexy. Next song, Bob George, probably the most controversial song of this album. Um, the reason why he called it Bob George, from what I looked up, it came from one of his managers named Bob Cavallo and a music critic by the name of Nelson George, who's actually, when I read, a good friend of Prince. So he kind of combined like the first name of Bob, last name George. Now, Prince had like a more deep. He lowered his voice down and stuff like that. Kind of, kind of like how when Tupac did Soldier Story off the Tupacalypse Now album, and it tells a story about this girl who cheats on the character Bob George with Prince, who Bob George calls the skinny motherfucker with a high voice. And so it is a very brutal song. Like he kills the girl at the end. And I think he gets killed at the end as well. So yeah, very nice storytelling song by Prince and all that. You know what I'm saying? Then we have my favorite song, Super Funky Califragisexy. Oh my god. dun 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 dun, ba da 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 da. Like that beat, I was like, whoa, right? Believe it or not, that song is what actually made me want to listen to the Black album. If you ask me, I mean, I love when he performed it on the Love Sexy tour with him jumping on the trampoline and all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Basically, what I got from the song, it's talking about like ecstasy and like how it was affecting the club scene at that time, and it tells a story about Prince meeting this girl in the club, and she was using ecstasy, and basically it's talking about the effects of it and stuff like that. So it had a clever list like let me pull up some of these lyrics because this is one of my favorite, probably my favorite song of this album, and a very underrated song. Like, and of course, if you guys notice, like, he kind of like it's kind of interpreting like the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, the Mary Poppins song. He kind of it's kind of like a play on that song. Well, the title is a play on that. So this is some of the lyrics. If your body needs water, keep on dancing cause you oughta keep the blood flowing down your feet. Bud Lewis should be running the middle of a bucket full of squirrel meat. The blood's real good if you drink real fast, but the appetite just lasts and lasts. If you kiss somebody, you want to party all night, alright? Now, some of my favorite lyrics is like, where's it at? Where's it at? Where is it at? It's like, this chair goes round and round. I feel like a clown because I'm stripped down. It's all fun and games. To the very next day, till damn you don't remember my name. Maybe I'll see you next Thursday night. Maybe I won't, but that's alright because in possession is a signed confession. And people complain about Darling Nikki. Like, this shit was some X-rated shit. And this was released in like 1987. Really. Like, this puts Darling, in my opinion, this song puts Darling Nikki to shame, in my opinion. And I do love that song though, but I mean, probably his most exotic song next to Darling Nikki and maybe yeah, I can't think of it. Never mind. Then we have Two Niggas United for West Compton, which is basically an instrumental. Um oh, by the way, if you guys know what he means by squirrel meat, because he used that a couple times in the album, let me know in the comments below because I'm trying to find that out for the longest, by the way. But yeah, Two Niggas, dope instrumental. He like Sheila and Prince killing it, and like Prince does this like this solo like that just blows your mind. And the last song, Rock Hard in a Funky Place. Um, not one of my favorites, but still a dope one, dope cut. It was supposed to be on the Crystal Ball album, which was one of the many unreleased songs. And it tells a story about this guy who has insecure about himself and stuff like that. Very insecure about himself, and it makes him rock hard. Like, and I don't have to tell you what you guys mean by rock hard. If you guys want to know, just look it up or just listen to the song carefully. And that's it for the album. Dope album in my opinion. Um, very funky. This was like this is like his Dare is a Dark Side, if you ask me. Because in case you guys don't know, Redman put out Dare is a Dark Side, and because he put out what the album '92, and then Dare is a Dark Side, and people were noticing that for its like very dirty production and stuff like that. Like he just Redman just disowned that sound, and so yeah, Prince basically disowned this album basically because he's just too evil and stuff like that. But this is maybe one of his most funkiest albums, if you ask me. Just so damn like gives no fucks given, things of that nature. I mean, yeah, like I can play this whole album without skipping a track. Definitely one of my in my top 10 Prince albums. And it's kind of sad because like once like this album came out in '94, not a lot of people were kind of checking for it like that as much because like they had already bootlegged it, you know. But yeah, pretty good album. I mean, yeah, and so stay tuned for my views on Love Sexy. Just stay tuned for that. And another thing too, I forgot to mention. Rest in peace to George Michael, one of a dope pop R&B singer. His first two albums, classics in my book. Rest in peace to Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace to Debbie Reynolds. You guys know Carrie Fisher. She played the Princess of Star Wars. Debbie Reynolds, legendary actress and all that stuff. Oh, and rest in peace to Ricky Harris. You guys might know him. He played Malvo from Everybody Hates Chris, and he was also. This is what I just knew. I just knew he was DJ Easy Dick on like the Doggy Style album, basically. So I did not even know about that. So yeah, and as usual, this is gonna be my last video of the year. Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate. And 2017, see you guys there. Peace.